Good morning, everyone. I am Amit Madan from Investor Relations team, HT Media Group. I would like to welcome you all to the Q2 2021 earnings webinar. Kindly note that all the participants' line will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for all to ask questions once the presentation concludes. I now invite Ms. Anna Ibrahim, Head Investor Relations, to take forward the webinar. Thank you, and over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Amit. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the earnings webinar of HT Media Group. This morning, we will be covering the results for the quarter ended September 30, 2020. On the call from our end is Mr. Piyush Gupta, our Group CFO, Mr. Sandeep Gulati, CFO of Hindustan Media Ventures Limited, Mr. Parvez Bajan, our Group Controller, and members of the Investor Relations team. We hope that you're all staying safe and healthy. Given the exceptional circumstances created by COVID, we are presenting the results to you from our respective homes. So please bear with us if there is any technical glitch. Kindly note that our remarks today will track with the presentation on the Zoom webinar, which is also available on the Investor Relations section of our website. We will now start with our presentation. Moving on to slide 2 of the presentation. Before we get started on the contents, I would like to draw your attention to the disclaimer regarding forward-looking statements which is on your screens right now. Kindly keep it in mind as we proceed with our comments on the call. Moving on to slide number 3. As you can see, this is what we are proposing to cover today. We will start with the presentation with remarks by Piyush on our consolidation of financial performance for the second quarter. Then we will move on to detailed remarks on our performance of our English and Hindi print and radio business. This will be followed by an update on the whistleblower complaint that we received a month or so back. After the remarks conclude, we will open for Q&A. During the Q&A session, you may raise your hand and with the option on your screen to ask a question. With that, over to you, Piyush.
Thank you, Anna, and good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's remaining safe in these tough times. I'll quickly go into the table of content, which my colleague Anna has already articulated. So jumping straight into slide number 5, which is the consolidated financial summary. As we can see, in the second quarter, the total revenue tracked to 302 crores as opposed to 569, which is a degrowth of 47%. EBITDA came in at a negative 16 crores vis-a-vis 69 crores, which is less by 24 crores. EBITDA margin came in at a negative 5%, PAT at minus 41 crores, and PAT margins at minus 13%. Net cash is 1,033 crores. If you look at the highlights on the right side of the screen, EBITDA for the second quarter at rupees 16 crore, margin at minus 5%. Operating EBITDA is higher by 38 crores versus the first quarter. Net cash improved by 27 crores in the first half of this fiscal year, and continued focus on cost controls and maintaining strong liquidity held the group in good stead. If I may move forward to the next slide. Now I come into the business unit performance. First on the print side. If you look at the print performance, ad revenues came to 162 crores as against 342 crores. Which is a 52% degrowth. Circulation revenue, however, degrew by 34%. This is for a strong realization per copy initiative across both Hindi and the English segments. Operating revenue as a consequence came to 225 crores. Operating EBITDA I had already covered was at a negative 4 crores and operating EBITDA margin at minus 2%. If you look at the commentary in the bottom, continued pressure on ad yields and volumes continue. However, sharp recovery sequentially has happened. If you look at it vis-a-vis quarter 1, which is the extreme right but one column, you can compare that there's a sharp recovery vis-a-vis the first quarter, but still far from the same period last year. Circulation revenue witnessed month-on-month improvement, and operating EBITDA is nearing a break-even in the back of cost control initiatives, which have been initiated by the company for both direct and indirect costs. If I may move forward, and do a deep dive into the English business. As you can see on slide number 10, our ad revenues in English business had a decline of 62%, came in at 76 crores vis-a-vis 203 crores. However, vis-a-vis the first quarter, they have nearly doubled at 112% growth. Circulation revenue, on the other hand, which came in at 3 crores, was an 82% decline, in the second quarter. If you look at the revenue drivers, softer ad yields and realization per copy have been one of the major reasons vis-a-vis last year. Both national and local advertising continues to be impacted on a year-on-year basis. However, we are witnessing a sequential improvement. Ad volumes from category like auto, government, education, FMCG and real estate have shown some early signs of improvement. Moving forward, if I go to the Hindi business, ad revenue came in at 86 crores, which is a 38% decline, and circulation revenue came in at 41 crores, which is an 18% decline. Some of the key drivers have been a softness in ad and circulation revenue on a YOY basis. However, as I said earlier, realization per copy are higher than last year, and it's a quarter-on-quarter improvement in ad volume for most of the categories led by auto, education, FMCG and retail. If I may move forward to our radio business, the financial performance, the second quarter revenue came in at 15 crores vis-a-vis 48 crores, which is a 68% decline, and operating EBITDA was at a negative 17 crores. Ad yields and volumes are down as compared to last year, though have improved over the last quarter, and growth in inventory utilization has been witnessed on a sequential basis, but they are still far from the normalized time period before COVID. If I may just go to the other matters, as most of you are aware, we have done a stock exchange filing on a certain whistleblower complaint that we had received in August. This was alleging irregularities and potential misconduct in the radio business. Further to the preliminary investigation, we had appointed a reputed law firm who engaged two leading accounting firms to undertake the investigation. A thorough investigation, including forensic analysis, was conducted by the investigation team, and the allegations were established to be correct, but it was concluded that the anonymous practice was limited only to stream of revenue in the radio business, which is called pure money, and impact of the same overstatement in revenue for the various financial years is as below. For 17-18, it was 5.2 crores, for 18-19, 6 crores, 19-20, 22.6 crores, and in the first half, it's a negative 1.3, which means that utilization of that pre-billing has happened to the extent of 1.3 crores. As a consequence, the company has already revised the financial results for FY 19-20 for all the quarters, and the prior period amounts, as they were not material, have been adjusted in the opening retained earnings as of 1st of April 2019. If I go to the next chart, which is chart number 17, you can look at the effects of restatement. The total revenue have been restated downwards by 21 crores. EBITDA has been downstated by 7 crores. EBITDA margin comes at 16%, and PAT comes in at 345 crores, which is a 127% variance vis-a-vis last year, and PAT margin at a minus 15%. On the right side, if you see the commentary, the revision is on impact of the investigation, which I have already highlighted. Also, because we were opening the last year's results, as the accounting standard mandates that the post-balance sheet date items after the balance sheet date, but before the signings, have to be impacted. Therefore, all those effects have been taken in the March 2020 results. Financial impact of revenue restated is 21 crores, EBITDA restated is 7 crores, and PAT is down by 127 crores, which is the impairment analysis which was carried out as of 31st March with the current information that we have till 31st of September, based on the accounting standard. With that, I come to the end of the presentation, and I give it back to Anna. Thank you. Anna,
thank you, Piyush. Sure. Thank you, Piyush. We'll now begin the Q&A session. Participants may use the raise hand option if you wish to ask a question. Please introduce yourself with your name along with the name of your organization before asking a question. Also, may we request to please restrict to 2 questions per participant so that we may be able to address questions from all the participants. We'll now wait for a couple of seconds while the question queue assembles. The first question is from Dipesh Kashyap. Dipesh, your line is unmuted. Please ask your question.
I think he's on
Dipesh?
mute.
Yeah. Dipesh, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
We can't hear him, so you have to just move on. Yeah.
Sure. The next question is from Yash R. Yash, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Yash, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
So my question is with regards to the print business EBITDA. Now I can see in the investor presentation saying that, it has been near break-even on the back of cost control initiatives. So my question is, what all costs have we targeted in the overheads and whether these are sustainable in the coming years?
Yes, hi.
Yes, Anna, please go ahead.
Yeah, Anna here. So we've pretty much looked at all cost lines of both direct and indirect for the print business. A significant component has come from raw material cost, given that there was a drop in PO during the extended lockdown period, and we are still not completely back. However, we've also done a lot of productivity exercises across the group and in overheads, in infrastructure, in all other lines as well. We have looked at it. To the extent of cost of raw materials and etc., depending on how fast the volumes come back, there would be some change. And on employee-related, some of the cost savings are linked to increment decisions, etc. So that to that extent would not be sustainable. But pretty much about 55% of this component, we think we should be able to sustain in the near term.
Any costs apart from these two, DVC, I mean the newsprint material and the staff costs?
Yes, that's what I was requiring. Yeah.
If you can just highlight a few of those costs in particular.
So employee cost, overheads includes all infrastructure related technology costs, marketing costs, your copybook building cost. Every single line item, and there is a cost reduction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A gentle reminder to all the participants who wish to ask a question may use the raise hand option on your screens to ask a question. The next question is from Sanjesh Jain. Sanjesh, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning and thanks for the opportunity. One question on how is the ad revenue been in this festive season now that we have crossed a lot part of a festive season? How has been the recovery during this festive season? Thank you.
Anna, would you like to take that? Anna, you're on mute.
So, my apologies. Sanjesh, month to month, we are seeing improvement in ad revenues. And we are seeing pickup in some categories like FMCG, retail, auto, etc. in the festive season. But is it back to the, nowhere far from it? So there is improvement. There is significant pickup in volumes during the festive period, but it's still back to the earlier years.
Is that print more impacted and radio more impacted than the television ad revenue? Because television broadcasters are already talking of a minute decline over last year, but they are significantly recovered. While we still say that we are far from what we were last year. So is it structurally we are down and it looks like a journey back to the peaks of pre-COVID or FY19, which was the peak for print and radio. Is a journey difficult to go there?
So I'll just answer your TV question first. So TV has a sizable dependency of FMCG as a category, which contributes about 75% of their advertising pool at any point of time. They have only 3 or 4 categories which actually contribute 75%, and of which FMCG is the biggest segment. Therefore, as long as FMCG is doing well, TV will do relatively well. Segments like therefore that is the reason why you're seeing that TV is not as impacted as print. Print, on the contrary, have about 12 to 13 categories which contribute to the advertising revenue, which is also a strength. But in the current circumstances, with such a pandemic impacting performance across industries, it is it is a lot of sectors which are not doing well, and it is only 2-3 sectors which are doing well. Radio has an additional impact of the fact that most of their customers are more in the MSME space, while print has a lot of national players as well. So to that extent, radio has been a little more impacted, because that is the space which was anyway before COVID also facing a little bit of problem, given the slowness in economic growth, as well as financing issues that the MSMEs on the whole were facing. I would also like to add that in Hindi, the volumes are almost back on print, and the declines have significantly reduced. It's English which is facing a slightly more challenge.
Sanjesh, this is Piyush Desai. If I may just add on to what Anna said, when you compare with broadcast, one of the big differences in this quarter has been IPL as well, which has been a big revenue churner as far as the broadcast is concerned. So really, to isolate the impact of the pandemic, we'll have to look at the next quarter's performance to understand what has been the real impact, because it is artificially impacted because of broadcast. And as Anna was pointing out, that in Hindi, volumes are nearly as much as they were in pre-pandemic level, but the major dynamic which has happened is that yields are under pressure across Hindi and English, and they looks like it will take some time to recover back to the pre-pandemic level, which is contributing to the revenue shortfall across the print sectors and radio sector. Radio, of course, is a very hyper-local medium and directly linked to the MSME sector.
Fair, thanks. Just one question. I was more talking about the listed player who have actually negatively impacted from IPL. Even they are talking of a sharp recovery. That's one.
Yeah.
Number 2, on the radio, if you look at the KPMG estimates, the advertisement pool for radio is now pinned at around 17 billion. So in FY22, that's FY22. So FY22 radio revenue is equivalent to FY14 levels. Do you think the investment in radio will not yield the IRR we anticipated during the bidding of those stations? So how do you see radio as a medium from here?
So Sanjesh,
is not
yes, I think that's a good question. Look, I think I won't at this point in time, because we are undergoing the full impact of pandemic. At this point in time, it will be very tough to call whether they will the assumptions which were there at the time of phase 3 investment, will they fructify or not. I still believe that with the under-penetrated nature and hyper-local in nature, radio will have a significant role to play. But now that it has set back 2 or 3 years, it will definitely take some time. So we are very hopeful once radio recovers, we'll be able to recoup our investments and most of the assumptions. Of course, it is delayed by 2 to 3 years very clearly.
Good. Just one last question from my side. Where is the subscription versus pre-COVID?
You mean subscription in terms of copies?
Yeah, in terms of copies.
So broadly, let me just get the data versus last year. Anna, would you? So English is at about 50%, of on a YOY basis. Hindi, however, has recovered much better and is nearly at about 70-odd%.
80%.
So this is a Q2 level, or we are talking of as of now?
80% right now. Yeah.
As of date. As of date.
Now, what is this 20% which we are missing? Is it a
Look,
cash sale or a spot sale or
across?
what's that
20%? So what
20%?
has happened is the newspapers, at least in the big three cities of Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore, stopped going into a lot of household consequent to the pandemic, and some of the compounds in these big cities have still not allowed the entry of newspapers. That is, we are missing the sales. So once those conditions are lifted, we believe that the newspapers will start going back. There will be some permanent laws whereby some people might not take the newspapers back because of the health and safety issue. But Hindi, on the other hand, which has already come back to 80%, has shown much more resurgence. And we believe, in a couple of quarters, English should come back to 80 to 90% level as well.
Got it. Thanks, Piyush, Anna, for all your answers.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day to you.
Thank you. The next question is from Rahul. Rahul, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Given the cost of material saving, would you like to break it up into PO and your rate?
No, Rahul, we wouldn't want to, get into that level because there will be also a pagination impact. It won't be just PO. But rates we have, on a quarter, it is kind of maintained. Rates we can give you on a metric tonnage that we have around 34,000 tonnage at an overall level.
34,000 per metric ton.
That's right.
Yes.
The console level.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Satish. Satish, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Satish, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Your line is open.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. My question depends on the previous question which was asked. So as there is a COVID, so what is the next step that we are going to take to go into online? So I came to know that HT Media is on the online business. So how far we are going to success on that, and till now, what is the success percentage we are expecting, and how far we are on that?
Satish, if I may take this question. Hi, good morning. This is Piyush Gupta this side.
Yeah.
As you would be aware, 3 years ago for the digital thing, and this is much before the pandemic, we had, put our digital business in Digi Content Limited, which is in the business of digital media. I'm happy to report, but that's not part of the group. That's a sister concern. But I'm happy to report that in the pandemic, where most of the things are getting digitalized much sooner than, had been anticipated, that business is showing much more resurgence in terms of growth percentage. And HT Media is investing aggressively behind the digital properties. So it's a very healthy growth which we are seeing in the digital part of the businesses.
Yeah, thanks for that. And my one more question is that recently we were aware that some of the transactions are being misled. So is there any expectations that in coming forward, is everything sorted out, or in coming forward, is there anything to be sorted out?
No, Satish, everything has been sorted out. It was a very detailed investigation led by a leading law firm along with the leading accounting firms which had been taken. All the filings have been done to the stock exchanges. I presented on chart number 17 that all the restatements and all the revisions which are supposed to be taken to the FY19-20 financials have already been conducted. This is the last of it. There is nothing coming out anytime soon. This is all the investigations results have been baked into the financials now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Mehul Pathak. Mehul, your line is open. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning, HT Media team. My question is that, for the last many quarters, it has been very difficult to understand what is happening in the subsidiaries that is other than HMV and the radio, your education, international, and there has been consistent booking of losses in these subsidiaries. Now, how long will this bleeding continue? What is happening at the business level in these subsidiaries? And what is the board level thought in terms of future? Are they going to be sold off? Are there good businesses there that you are going to continue? Can you give some flavor of what is happening and the future plans there?
Yes, that's a great question, Mehul. Let me try to attempt this. Apart from HMVL and radio, which you have said that you have some visibility, most of the businesses are at various levels of incubation. Now, there are not substantial investments which have gone behind these businesses, but businesses around content creation, businesses around international radio, these are some of the businesses that HT Media has been incubating as a forward-looking revenue strategy. As one of your colleagues asked, that print, looks like to be under a bit of pressure. So we've been on the journey of diversification. Now, these businesses, the content studio businesses, which we started about 1.5 years ago, of course, has also been impacted a lot by COVID. But the whole point of putting that business was to go into a content platform whereby, on OTTs and various movie productions, etc., HT can participate. Smartcast or the podcast is another such initiative, which has not taken a lot of capital, but is a forward-looking business. So at this point in time, all I can tell you is that HT is trying these various initiatives so that we can kickstart new revenue streams, which will start giving fruitful benefit back to the shareholders. But at these times, most of them are subscale.
If I may add, so basically, apart from the music, the radio subsidiaries, which is Next Media Works and NRL, and there are no major subsidiaries bringing losses to the consolidated results. The education business that you referred to has been significantly scaled down, and it is hardly impacting any operating loss. HT Overseas, yes, there we are. We had incubated a few new businesses, and it does contribute a little bit to the loss, but it's not marginal. In standalone, we've taken some impairment on account of historical investments and on future cash flows, etc. But otherwise, there are no subsidiaries apart from radio, which is really contributing too much to the losses of the business. And I would just request Mr. Sandeep also wanted to add something. So, Sandeep.
No, Anna, nothing more to add.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
A follow-up question, Anna, is that do these businesses have any market value? And if they're unrelated, can we not sell them off? Is
So
the board
education. Yeah, education business was an area which had been a focus area, Mehul, and we had two businesses in that. Over time, of course, we have not done well, and when we have, and we had taken such similar decisions, so we have scaled it out significantly. And given whatever COVID impact has done on the operations, we may finally discontinue it. So that is where it is. In the overseas operations, yes, there is potential future value which can come in because a couple of the businesses are an incubation business. Scaling up has taken a little bit of time in the new environment, but we are hopeful. And then there is also certain investments that we had done as part of strategic partnerships, which also we are holding, and which while current COVID-related issues have led to some markdown in that, in longer term we should get some money on that as well. And the radio businesses, you are anywhere aware.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from VP Rajesh. Your line is open. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good morning and thanks for the opportunity. My question is regarding your advertisement revenues. So the way you said that your circulation is back to 80% of pre-COVID level, how would you describe your ad revenue in terms of percentage of pre-COVID levels?
So Rajesh, Piyush this side. If I may just come in, the 80% on a pre-COVID level I referred to was on the Hindi publication, which is Hindustan. The English publications are still at about 50%. The volumes have also recovered quite sharply as far as the Hindi is concerned. But as I was pointing out earlier, the big problem has been on the effective pricing because yields have been under pressure. As you can see, the newspapers have been continuously rationalizing pagination because there is not too much of advertising revenue at this point in time. But if KPMG report is to be believed, that we believe a swift recovery, post the vaccine, etc., might come through, and then the economy kickstarts much more smartly. So we believe this is another 2 quarters impact that we'll see more profoundly on English than on Hindi. But after that we should start coming to a normalized level. Some of the categories, like FMCG, autos, etc., have already shown some kind of recovery in this festive season. We believe that will continue, but of course then there are new norms, around electric cars and various other regulatory things that the government is attempting there. So I think in next 2 quarters at least the COVID impact should come out, and with the circulation going up smartly, we should start commanding certain yields which we were before the pre-COVID levels.
Okay.
Yeah, and overall at we will be at 60% of what we were. A little more better than that, and Hindi is of course closer to a 75%.
Okay, that's very helpful. My other question is, what is the trend you are seeing in this quarter, given we are already through the first 2 months? Any commentary around that in terms of the ad revenue?
We typically don't share forward, so we'd like to just stay away from that at this point of time. I've given you broad indicators as to where we are.
Yeah, however, just to point out, Rajesh, I think in this quarter, when you compare it on a YOY basis, there will be one festive season shift which will play slightly sharply, for the third quarter when the results will be out, because last year the dates of Diwali were very different from a quarterly perspective than this year.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Dharmesh Sangoi. Dharmesh, your line is open. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. Piyush, can you throw some update on this transaction which we had entered on Mosaic Media acquisition?
Right.
Yeah.
Anna, please go ahead.
So we will be closing the transactions soon, Dharmesh.
So can you just throw some highlights on how it is going to help you in your performance, and what will be the upside of this sort of some estimate, some ballpark?
At this point of time, I wouldn't want to get that, Dharmesh, but it is supposed to be synergistic with our Mint business and the presence in the financial space. And they have their data. They pretty much their business is there is no cannibalization. It's an incremental stream of revenue. But with our sales capabilities, bring with their product capabilities, we believe that there will be potential scaling it up. So they have databases, they have subscription, and they have events. Those are the 3 critical elements of their business, and all 3 their product is very good, while we bring in capabilities of a larger proportion, and that is where the synergies are expected.
Okay. And what is the value of investment that we will be putting into the company? Roughly 6 crore is what you have mentioned.
What that is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Sunil Jain. Sunil, your line is open. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi, morning, Sunil.
Yeah, my question relates to the digital business. You said that 3 years back you transferred the digital business to separate company. So, what is the growth path for digital business in this company? How we will be getting benefit of digital business? Is there any revenue share agreement for content business or something like that?
Look, Sunil, if I may just kind of give you a historical perspective. At the time of the transaction, all the shareholders got a mirror shareholding in the digital company as well. So, that's how the value in the digital company was shared with the shareholder. However, as far as this company is concerned, like various inorganic transactions that you're saying, we are talking about a Mosaic Media. We are trying to look at various properties which kind of have a synergistic impact with the existing properties, and will drive value for the shareholders at the HT Media Group. So we are very clear that digital, has a good path. So we will see what can happen in HT Media Group. As far as DCL is concerned, we had already done the transaction 2 years ago, and all the shareholders got mirror shareholding. That's how the value sharing was done with the shareholders at that point.
So, with the content, I think the website over there are HindustanTimes.com and all. So the content which get generated at both the level, or it's at only one level and then share with the other?
Anna, would you like to take that, please?
So yeah, content. So there is a content which is on the paper, which is largely the reproduction of the print, and then there are the digital websites. The entire content on the sharing arrangement is the HTML HMVL have a content sharing arrangement with this thing, so that all the digital news can kind of flow into the print paper. So that's how the content arrangement works. Otherwise, the digital news websites per se sits within the HTDSL, the legal entity, and the monetization gets done by them. But as Piyush mentioned, we have other initiatives in the digital space, which, of course, the Shine business, which is still resides with HT Media. Shine has grown, has shown less than, while it was impacted in the early months of COVID, it's now shown pretty much coming back to normal in terms of revenue. We also have a couple of other initiatives that we are doing both on the HT side and HMVL side into new businesses, which we are hoping to grow. And this is only the new side of things, which is currently with the other entities.
Yeah, Miss, my question was simple, like the content which we generate in this company.
Yes, content.
Anna, your voice is breaking. You're not clear. You'll have to repeat yourself, please.
Hello, is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
So HT Media and Hindustan Media Ventures pay content fees to HTDSL because HTDSL generates digital first content which is used also in the newspaper by these properties.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from Rushabh Seth. Rushabh, your line is open. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi. This is generally a question only on the corporate governance side. We've seen this whistleblower complaint coming, and of course the companies kind of address that bit. But generally, our sense has always been that, the company is not doing enough on the corporate governance side in terms of capital allocation, in terms of, some previous speaker asked a question on, the new investments that you are making in Mosaic. I think this is the problem that we have always faced as investors, that the company has never given a clarity in terms of what investments, what is the logic, what are they contributing. And we've seen almost 1,000 crores being blown up in various initiatives over the last 5 to 7 years by the company, whereas none of it has been distributed to the investors. So we kind of surprised that what is the board doing, and is the board going to do something about this, or this is just going to continue like this, that the company will keep making random investments in various properties and which will not yield any results, and at the end of the day the investors, the shareholders are not getting any return from it. This is one of the companies which trades at significantly below the cash I think it will be one of the few companies in the whole, stock exchange is trading maybe 50% or less than 50% of net cash on balance sheet. And that's because of the poor corporate governance. So I just want to know, what is the board doing to address this issue? And this is a structural issue which has been plaguing the company for now many years.
So Rishabh, hi, Piyush this side. Thanks for joining the call. Look, Rishabh, you using the word corporate governance very generically, and you're kind of linking it back to the capital allocation. I would just basically like to delink the question that you had in two parts. One is on the corporate governance, which is on related to this whistleblower complaint which come. As you can clearly see that the company has done everything in the right manner, which had to be done to address this particular thing. Now that all the filings are done, we've already kind of put it out in the public domain. As far as the capital allocation is concerned, look, Rishabh, I think we've discussed that in the past, in person and on the calls as well. The company has been for the longest time seeing that the predominant revenue stream, which is of the print revenues, have been under pressure and have been trying new revenue streams. Now you call that the company has been unlucky, or you can always say that the company has had a bad strategy or a bad execution. But the reality is the company, I won't concur with that 1,000 crore number, because that when you say 1,000 crore, you also counting in things like investment in Hindustan Media Ventures at that point in time, which was done before it went public and stuff like that. But a lot of successful properties have been created. Look at Mint. I mean, this has happened in the last 8 to 10 years. It's still in the newspaper space. Radio happened. Now, radio for the last 1.5 years, even before COVID, has had some issues of their own. And I'm not talking about corporate governance. I'm saying about the slowing down in the MSME space post the ILFS and the DHFL things which happened sometimes middle of last year. But there have been some good new revenue streams which have been built. But of course, there have been, ventures on the education side which have not really performed. Shine still continues to be a challenge, though it has broken even in this particular quarter. You actually have to give this much to the company, that the company is putting in small businesses and trying to see if they can scale up. Now, have we been very successful in most of them? Answer is no. But should we therefore give up these things? I think the answer still is a no. And the 1,000 crore number, I would seriously urge you to kind of look at granularly. It's nowhere close to that number. I hope that answers, Rishabh.
No, yeah, that answers the question. So my point is that the amount of money you have put into these ventures, at least some bit of it you could have distributed to the shareholders. Every time we raise this issue with you, you say the board will take a decision. I don't understand. The board, the CEO of the company doesn't come on the call to kind of explain that what the board is thinking and why the board is not increasing the dividends. I mean, I can't really understand this. Kind of foxes my mind that why can the CEO come on the call? It's just once a quarter that the CEO needs to be on the call.
Rishabh, let me pick this up with you. We will. So look, if there is any communication gap, we'll be more than happy to take it. If you want to have a chat with the CEO, I will definitely convey that back to him. As far as the dividend distribution thing is concerned, which we've discussed many a calls and many a time, is something that the board, of course, is briefed, as I have always been telling. I can again take it, but if it's about having a conversation with the CEO, I'll definitely facilitate that one.
Yeah, please take it to the board and to the CEO that there is a serious issue on this, and at least we as shareholders wants the board and the CEO to look into it. And I hope that at least some point of time you start addressing it. Thanks so much.
Sure, Rishabh. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you. The next question is from Anish Jobalia. Anish, your line is open. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hi, good morning. My question is on the Hindi print side. You mentioned that the yields are under pressure. So would you be able to quantify how much of the yields are down versus the normalized levels?
Anish,
Anna,
that
would you
would
like to
be a
take
little,
this?
no, that will be a little difficult for us to quantify. We wouldn't be able to
But
quantify.
however,
that.
Anish, this is Piyush this side. I'd still like to add, yields have to be seen in context of the relative pricing of the competitors in a given market. So, for example, in a market like Patna, there is a certain competitive scenario, but because we've got a pole position in that market, the yields have been reasonably well. However, given the political election, political advertising come at a different yield. But however, most of the UP local revenue has suffered much more because we are definitely not number one in those markets, and when the yields come under pressure from the single biggest player, you have to react in the marketplace accordingly. So depending on market, they have been under pressure, but we wouldn't be able to give you one blended consolidated number. But yields across have been under some pressure, somewhere less, somewhere more.
Can it be said that this is an outcome of competitive pricing led by the largest player in those markets?
Yeah, of course, the largest players, so if we are the largest player in Bihar, Patna, we have been active participation in setting up the prices there. But in UP, it's the other way around.
It's also, Anish, the demand supply thing, right? As in, there's a standard, there are only 2-3 sectors which are firing at this point of time. It's different from a scenario where pages are running full and we will charge that extra for every additional square centimeter that you make us print, right? So there is a environmental impact also. But we, basis our internal analysis, we believe that we are growing shares from a market value perspective when we have done our internal benchmarks. So it's not that our pricing is, we are suffering on pricing vis-a-vis the competitors. It is just that the entire industry level is low, and if at all we have managed to improve our market share in that environment, and we have not lost anything on the market share perspective. But the pie per se has, reduced, so everybody is, taking up this thing.
So once the customer gets adjusted to the lower pricing, it is going to be a challenge to take it back to where it was. So do you think that the industry is going to operate at the lower yields going forward over the next 2-3 years?
We don't believe so because print has always seen dynamic pricing, and customers understand that. So, for example, during the Shraddh times for print, it is lower pricing. Festive times, it is 2-3x of the average pricing, and so it is it's like how it is in airline. So there is a amount of dynamic pricing. So as volumes come back, as demand picks up, there will be a pickup in the pricing also.
But I think you mentioned that the volumes are already back to 100%. So that's why.
For certain categories, and that is at a lower pricing. So we don't have pricing power at this point. I'll also request my colleague Sandeep to add to it.
Yeah, just to add into it, a couple of points, as Anna already called out. If you go back and think about overall value standpoint, we have gained both volume and value shares during the recent times, and that is visible from the results also, as you can see all the published results. As far as Hindi is concerned. The other piece which you asked about pricing, whether it is going to be, how the recovery is going to be, I think the way the whole industry has executed, not only us, is done in a little smarter way. It has not that the gross pricing has been brought down. The way the whole execution happened was through some promotional schemes, not that the gross pricing has come down. So I think path to recovery will be there, and that's getting adjusted as we speak, and it's already on that path. So if that helps answer a little bit better.
But do you think that this industry has been set back in terms of yields for a couple of quarters, say 1 or 2 quarters, or for at least 8 quarters away? I mean, directionally, how are you thinking about this?
So there will be pressure clearly, and that's what we are seeing it, and it's evolving every single day as we continue to move forward. Good news is when you start getting volumes back, it just starts telling you that you are getting into a situation where you can take the recovery faster. So we'll have to see this over time. I wouldn't want to kind of speculate whether it is going to happen in 2 quarters or 8 quarters. Let's just see, and as we come back next quarter, we will update you which way it's going.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from Dipesh Kashyap. Dipesh, your line is open. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hi sir, good morning. Sir, is there any update on the royalty fees negotiation that were going on with the music companies?
Well, at this point, at this point in time, there is no update on that.
And so by when do you expect the solution to come?
Oh, well, it's very, it will be a conjecture at best if I do. I'll say the conversations are still going. If there'll be something, we'll definitely let you know.
Understood. And sir, did you see any comeback in the political or the government ads during the Bihar elections? Because Bihar is your major market. So did you see any comeback in those ads?
Look, we definitely saw a flip in the Bihar elections, not as much as we would have liked, but even the state governments in the elections, what we analyzed in the trend did not spend as much as they did in the elections 5 years ago. So was there a flip? Yes. Was it as much as it was 5 years ago? The answer is no.
Okay. And sir, also there was a media article that the pagination during this festination has increased multiple times for the Hindi media, and especially like the pages that during the Diwali period were around 120 plus in many of the leading papers. So just want to understand, you already talked about the ad volumes are back to normal, but is there a growth YOY or just a quarter improvement you're seeing?
Look, I think the festive had a very big role to play as far as this quarter is concerned. I also picked up those 120 page paginations, etc., which some publications run in some of their editions. Of course, we didn't have 120 page, but pagination is a mere factor of add and edit. With edit frozen at a certain columns, it depends upon what is the demand for the advertisement, and that decides the pagination. It was, of course, better in the festive season. But after the festive season, we've seen a sharp decline in that space, which is a normal trend which happens typically after Diwali.
Yeah. Just to add, you are asking YOY the volume trends. Yes, it is YOY reference, not a quarter on quarter.
And so, is the trend true for both Hindi and English, or only for Hindi?
Hindi is seeing better overall. English still has pressure, so Hindi is where the recovery is most.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Karun Gera. Karun, your line is open. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good morning. Just two quick questions which are follow-ups. One, you talked about the newsprint prices as being around 34,000 per ton. How sustainable do you see them for the course of the year?
For the course of the year, we should be able to sustain it because we have reasonable visibility till the end of the year.
Okay. So you're saying by the end of the year, it will still remain at that same level, right?
Or slightly lower.
Lower. Okay. That's good. That's good news. The second one was on the corporate governance that Piyush talked about. And when you go through the entire findings that have been put out by your partners there, they're talking about pre-billing happening in the radio space, and I know that has been corrected and you guys have taken it up. Have we looked at it similarly from the print point of view?
Yes. So that's a great question. I mean, when it first happened, we of course did a scan across the organization. We looked at it from a print point of view as well. I'm happy to say there are no such instances in any other part. Leave aside print, I mean, even in digital part, there are no such instances. However, if you look at the management response to the report that we have put online, we are currently taking multiple steps, and one of such steps is strengthening our revenue assurance exercise, which will further strengthen these areas. But it is totally localized to a certain revenue stream, that too in the radio business, which constitutes about 2 to 3% of the total consolidated revenue. But we are still taking strength to further strengthen our revenue assurance practices within the organization. And we are in conversation with the auditors as well.
Fantastic. That's great to know. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a follow-up from Dharmesh Sangoi. Dharmesh, your line is open. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Piyush, just following up on Rushabh's question on the investments that company has made, can you throw some light on Pune market, which you invested some 3 years back? You invested heavily in Pune, then you invested very heavily in Mumbai, which were your upcoming 2 markets apart from your north market. Yeah. Other than that, I don't see any other markets where English is operating. So what's happening in Pune and Mumbai? At least you have to throw some light now. Means what?
No, absolutely. Look, Dharmesh, I'm not shying away from the question. I think I'll just sequence the question properly. Yeah. I think Bombay, we invested much ahead of Pune. Bombay investment happened somewhere in 2008. If my memory serves me right, the commercial production started in 2009. Pune, as you rightly said, is an investment, which happened about 3 years ago. Now, Mumbai is a substantial investment where we set up a print location, and it's a full edition. As you know, Mumbai is one of the biggest English print markets in the country. So our investment has been substantial, and we've been playing second to our competitor there for the longest time, with a clear intent to reach about 80 to 90% of the competition. Of course, I'm taking pandemic out of the question. Pune, I would like to factually correct your question that we had not invested substantially at all. As a matter of fact, we did not set up any print location. We already had a sales office which we beefed up by 4 people, and we had a local added staff because we had to cover the city. That was all the investment that we had done, apart from the daily copies which are going, which are not very substantial. The whole idea of starting Pune was Mumbai and Pune are very contiguous spaces, and there's a lot of revenue which basically come for the twin cities rather than for Mumbai alone or for Pune alone. The whole idea of having that sub edition was to flank the Mumbai edition and serve the customers in Pune who also have interest in one leg in Mumbai. Now, of course, it is not we are not shying away from that investment. It's not a substantial investment which runs into multiple hundreds of crores or anywhere close to it. But has it given us the rightful impact at this point in time? Answer is no, and pandemic is definitely not helped. So it is not a substantial investment is the big point I'd like to make. But if it fructifies, the going in thesis is that Mumbai and Pune will be sold as a bundle, because there are a lot of people who have interest in the twin cities.
So roughly, what would be our, whatever investment in the form of losses or whatever you have invested, because, your competitor is very strong in that market. So what is the sort of investment you have put from 2008 to date in Mumbai and say for Pune, for example?
Look, I think we don't give out separate investment, but please understand, if you break down the investment in Mumbai, it will be basically in 2 or 3 big buckets. One will obviously be the land that you have to take for creating your printing location and your infra for housing the office, etc., which I don't think gets vanished, which only goes up with time. The second is the loss funding that we've done. We have done loss funding for a brief period of 2 years, which was about 3 years ago. We had come to a break-even number, on our P&L as far as the operating EBITDAs are concerned. But however, for the last 2 years, we've had a bit of a challenge where our competitor has reacted very sharply in the city of Mumbai, seeing what we are also seeing. So it's primarily the loss funding. Apart from that, all the investment which was in land and machinery, I don't think has gone down substantially at all. As a matter of fact, would have only appreciated, but we haven't taken any valuation reports for that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Piyush.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last question for today. With this, we come to the end of Q&A session. If you have any further queries, please reach out to the investor relations team. Our contact details are given in the investor presentation and are also mentioned on our website. And I now hand over the call to Piyush for closing remarks.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making the time. We are sorry we had to do it on a virtual platform, as you can see, because of COVID conditions. This is the second time that we are doing this in this template. We definitely hope to at some time see you in person when we will be able to undertake some travel. I hope we have been able to answer most of your questions. And if there are some of the questions that you might have, please feel free to reach out to our investor relations cell, and we'll be more than happy to answer the same. With that, I wish you the best of festive time and wishing you a very happy new year in advance. Look forward to seeing all of you in the next quarter. Thank you so much.